Hey, good evening, everybody. I'm Audra. This is Coming In Hot, where we talk about mindset theories and real practical ways that you can improve your lifestyle, your relationships, your health, and yourself. And I'm going to slow down because, y'all, it's been a long day. I guess I'm so excited I'm stumbling over my words, but at the same time, this has been a long day for me. No, that's a lie. This has been a long about 18 hours for me, going on 24 hours. So we'll kind of get to that in a little bit in the second half of the show. But we are going to go right back into the series we've been in for I think 3-4 weeks now, and that series is about, let's see here, limiting beliefs. Bear with me. Limiting beliefs and paradigms, willpower, mind hacking, my favorite, and vibrational energy, which again, that's going to come up later on in the show today. But I've had a fun time today. I mean, I got to get out. We'll have a little side conversation here. So I got to get out today with my mom and a couple of my daughters, and we got to go to my favorite Mexican food restaurant and sit down and eat today, and it was heaven. Just a little piece of heaven. It was so nice. Oh, tonight, just for anybody who's interested, I am rocking the Earl Grey with a little bit of honey, which I've never done before. So it's really, really, really good. If you've never had Earl Grey tea, you have not lived, because it is fantastic. It's got chamomile, and I think it's chamomile. I'm probably a liar. I don't really know what's in it. All I know is it tastes good. I love it. It's so good. But y'all, I got all my candles going this evening just to bring the zen, because like I said, it's been a long 18 hours, very stressful. But let's jump into some of what I've been looking into. So this series about limited beliefs, paradigms, willpower, and mind hacking, and we have talked about all kinds of stuff. And this is all about your own personal self-development. So you take from all of this the parts that will work, and you try them out and you see if they do, or you just take all of it and you see if it'll work. And if it doesn't work, then you try the next. So anyway, you ought to be able to find something. I mean, I'm bringing you a lot. There's something you can find. A little handsy tonight. Long day. Once again. Okay, so anyway, this right here, I'm just going to get started with this. We're just going to start on this tonight. I made that decision right now. Okay, this right here is the book that I'm reading. I'm a little far away. Let me get a little closer. Willpower Doesn't Work. Benjamin Hardy. Let's see, when was this book written? 2, 3, 4 years ago, something or another like that. Brand new to me. And if you don't know anything about it, I'm going to read you a little bit of the intro to kind of give you an idea of his theories and his ideas behind being able to change your I don't know, your lifestyle and everything, or your behaviors, and how that is dictated by your environment. So I'm just going to read you a little bit of the introduction, because I'm finding this information so fascinating. And I've read through this book a little bit before, and I haven't fully completed it. So I plan on coming back and giving you guys more information about it. But I'm telling you right now, just what, I still haven't finished it, but what I've read of it, this book is definitely worth the purchase. So check it out. Like I said, Willpower Doesn't Work by Benjamin Hardy. Discover the hidden keys to success. All right, so a little bit of the introduction here. Okay. Willpower doesn't work, or the power to exert your free will against internal or external obstacles, has only recently bombarded the psychological world, but it has done so with force. According to the American Psychology Association's annual Stress in American survey, a lack of willpower is frequently cited as people's top reason for not achieving their goals. Researchers across the globe are studying how people develop willpower and overcome willpower depletion. To be frank, willpower is for people who haven't decided what they actually want in their lives. Dun dun dun. Don't shoot the messenger. If you're required to exert willpower to do something, there is an obvious internal conflict. You want to eat the cookie, but you also want to be healthy. You want to focus at work, but you also want to watch a YouTube video. You want to be present with your kids, but you can't stop looking at your phone. According to psychology research, your willpower is like a muscle. It has a finite resource that depletes with use. They don't tell you that when you're growing up. At least I never heard that. As a result, by the end of your strenuous days, your willpower muscles are exhausted and you're left to your naked and defenseless self with zero control to stop the nighttime munchies and the time wasters. At least that's what you've been taught. Clearly, the research on willpower explains human behavior, but only on the surface level. The very fact that willpower is required comes from several fundamental sources. You don't know what you want and are thus internally conflicted. Your desire or your why for your goals isn't strong enough. You aren't invested in yourself and your dreams. And then the last option he has on his is your environment opposes your goal. Once these 4 principles are aligned within yourself, the internal debate is over. Thus, all future decisions regarding that matter have been made. No questions. So are you serious about this, or are you just talking? Are you still on the fence, or have you decided? Until you decide, you will be required to use willpower and will continue to make minimal progress. When it comes to achieving goals, making committed decisions involves investing up front, making it public, setting a timeline, installing several forms of feedback, accountability, and removing or altering everything in your environment that opposes commitment. Rather than relying solely on your internal resolve and strength, true commitment means you've built several external defense systems around your goals. It means you've created conditions to make the achievement of your goals inevitable. Everything has been put in place. You now have no choice but to act according to your highest desires. Too much is at stake if you don't. So, this book right here, when I picked up this book, I don't know if I was turned on to this book by someone else or not. Actually, I think I was. I think Jenna Swagel actually turned me on to this book. She put it on a master book list, basically, that she has. I have one of my own. I copied hers and I keep adding to that list. And so, but this book right here, when I got it, I think I maybe just read the back of it, and I think I had already started reading not Willpower doesn't do this, I'm sorry. I started reading Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. So I was reading that book, but as I was going through some transitions in my own life and in my own growth cycle here and everything this season, I've done a lot of purging. And I started doing the purging, out of kind of like anxious behavior, like, okay, this clutter, I realized that this clutter is kind of in my way. And I've noticed that when the house isn't picked up and when this isn't in its place or whatever, I have a really hard time focusing on the things that I need to focus on. And so I always knew that my environment that it played a role in how I felt and things I did. I mean, I'm a candle girl. I burn incense. I burn candles. I've burned candles forever and a day. I love ambiance lighting and all that kind of stuff. I'm all about, closing the blinds and cozying up the house and all that kind of good jazz. So I love ambiance and creating nice, cozy areas and stuff. But throughout my life and going through the ups and downs and the seasons and with being sick and being in bed, my house just became a cave is kind of what it started to feel like, to be honest with you. This nice, cozy little cocoon that I'd built was probably my prison. So many things had piled up. There was always a pile of clutter over here, or even if it wasn't junk like paperwork or mail or whatever, that's like the worst, is stacks of paperwork. Even if it wasn't something like that, I might have a shelf that would have to have 50,000 things on it. judge me. These are my books. A shelf that might, need 50,000 things on it when really, truly, it's just cluttered. It only needed a couple of little things, So I started purposefully going through my house and started purging. And then I picked this little book up and started reading it and realized that there was actual psychology behind what I was doing, and it made a whole lot of sense. And the fact that it worked wasn't just that it worked for me. It wasn't some thing that I had just invented or something I had just discovered. It's in this book, and he talks about it and about how important it is that your environment be conducive to whatever you are trying to accomplish or whatever you're trying to manifest. And I could not agree more that your environment plays a huge role. Your home environment, your work environment, it all plays a role in how you filter through information that comes and how you just feel. It affects your energy and vibrational energy, specifically. It affects your spirit, so it affects a lot of things. So Benjamin Hardy, wise young guy, I've watched several of his interviews, and I've been looking into him and trying to study him a little bit and understand. So where did he, come up with this right here? And so he has a psychology degree, and he, I believe, was going for his final paper. I can't remember. I'll have to go back and look for sure. But at the very end of trying to get his degree or whatever, he needed to write a paper, and he thought he was going to study willpower. And he said that once he got into looking into willpower and studying about it, he realized that it was crap, and that the concept of willpower was nothing like what he had always thought it was. And so it kind of flipped everything on its head. He and his wife adopted a few children, and it comes up in this book a little bit about, their economic status and how he started looking and understanding that statistics show that when someone is born into a place that is underprivileged, that economically they immediately are put on the defensive and on the downside. And so they had adopted 3 children from a very, 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 they were fostering these children. And at that point in time, to my understanding, there was no chance of them adopting. A lot of people don't know this, and I'm not extremely versed in this, but I know this because of some friends of mine who went through the fostering and adoption process, and then by listening to his story, and also reading a little bit in Girl Wash Your Face. She talked about this. And, for a long period of time, and it may still be this way in some states, foster parents are not eligible to adopt the children that they're fostering. And so he and his wife were fostering children after not being able to have children of their own, and were just going through this tremendous growth and change, and having these children just opened up their eyes to a whole different way of viewing the world. And while he was going through and getting his psychology degree and looking into willpower, and he started realizing that a lot of the things that he had kind of banked on would get him through to the next phase, and it's how people grew themselves, he realized was actually not near as accurate as what he had thought. He learned throughout the process, because his parents went through a bitter divorce, that addiction plays a huge part in all of those things, and your environment also can play a part in that too. So it's some pretty deep, interesting stuff. But we're going to go ahead and take a break for now, and then we're going to come back, and I'm going to relay to you some information I've been getting out of Mr. Tony Robbins, and just kind of tell you how I have actually applied these principles and how I've seen them play out in my life, and hopefully that will convey and you can apply them in your own. So we'll be right back in a minute.
Coming up July 10th through the 12th in downtown Mineola, Texas, the first annual Century Cinema Film Festival, celebrating the 100th year of operation for the historic Select Theater in Mineola, and produced in conjunction with Tours of Tyler. 36 hours of classic films, from film noir to The Blob to Fred and Ginger, Grant and Hepburn, even Roy Rogers. 12 movies in 3 days. There'll be vendors, cartoons, newsreels, surprises of all kinds, and our special guest on Saturday, Brad Mall, the famous Dr. Tony Jones from General Hospital. Check us out on Facebook at Century Cinema Film Festival, or look us up on toursoftyler.com, or just call the theater at 903-569-2300.
Welcome back to Coming in Hot. I'm Audra, and we are going to continue on with our conversation this evening about why willpower does not work. So, mentioned in the last segment that I am reading a book, which we're totally going to keep talking about because it's fabulous, very helpful information. Get yourself a copy. You won't regret it. Willpower Doesn't Work, Benjamin Hardy. This is a good book to collect and to share with your people who are trying to find that growth mindset and are looking for ways to try to improve or speed things up a little bit, So this segment, I'm going to talk about a couple of little questions that I had written down. So, with him talking about, when we're talking about environment here and changing your environment, how does that impact your mindset? Because I know I had this argument with my husband a while back, or argument, disagreement, whatever, but he did come around to my way of thinking. And it was about environment, and he didn't think that the environment so much affected the mindset as much as I did. And we kind of saw it in different ways. I used like the candles and the ambiance as my example at the time, because at the time my house is a whole cluttered mess. But for me at that point in time, that was my normal. So I could see past a lot of that stuff because I wasn't looking to be productive. I wasn't looking to grow at that point in time. I was just trying to survive. So none of the clutter really affected me and made me feel, or at least I didn't consciously realize that the clutter was keeping me in that that state of mind, that primal state of mind. But candles, on the other hand, I knew that every time that I lit candles in my house, that I just felt warm and fuzzy on the inside, and I just felt happier. And so while we were having this discussion one day about environment and this and that, and that's how I explained to him, I was like, look, I'm like, think about it. I'm like, when you come home, I'm like, and the house smells good and the candles are lit, it can look like crap. But if it smells nice and you got a couple of candles everywhere, it kind of gives you that little cozy, warm feeling, right? And he was like, okay, I can see where you're coming from. So now, thank goodness, the house is picked up and we're not in that primal state anymore. We are operating from a powerful state. And making sure that your environment is intact and it is set up to optimize your desires and your purposes, then, when you can get your environment to line up with the type of mindset that you have, then you can start to make things change more rapidly. You can raise your vibrational level and gain more momentum and move faster and faster. So we've talked about on previous episodes, and we talked about the primal state versus the powerful state. And this is David Baer. And when you're in a primal state, that is going to entail all of that encompasses boredom and anger, frustration, and fear of some kind. And these are the two modes of operation that people operate from. You're either operating from a primal or you're operating from a powerful state. So powerful state is when you're feeling excitement and joy. So that's going to be your high vibrational level. When you're vibrating on a lower level, that's when you're in your primal state, anger and fear and things like that. And having your environment, match up to, or be conducive, I should say, to you being able to stay in a powerful state of mind, it's huge. It makes a huge, huge, huge difference. And it takes time sometimes to put these put these new things, implement them, put them in place, and to make them work for you. So just remember to be patient with yourself when you're trying to change your environment and you're trying to introduce new concepts and things. Be patient with yourself, because we go through so much, we put ourselves through so much already. we are our own worst critics. So the least you could do is be a little bit patient with yourself when you're trying to learn something new. So let's see. So more about trying to change yourself from a primal state to a powerful state, because we've talked about before how manifesting and changing your purpose or trying to align yourself with things like that, you need to be in a primal state, in a powerful state. I'm sorry, because a primal state is not going to get you there. It actually kills your energy. It drags it the wrong way, because energy cannot be stopped or started. It is always moving. So you're either going to move forward or you're going backwards. So, who and what you surround yourself with are huge factors. Some of the things that I had to do in my environment was obviously the purging. And I went from room to room and purged. And it went off and on for probably 4 months, I would say, or so. I went through the house purging from room to room to room. And honestly, it was as I felt like I could mentally and emotionally handle the purging, because it was physically exhausting going through all this stuff. And it was mentally exhausting going through it, because I had already made up my mind. I made a decision that I was going to change this environment, because I was going to change myself. So there was no going back. But there were times where it was very, very strenuous on me. And there were times where I didn't think I could push through and finish the project before I got it done. And I wanted to just give up and just, say it wasn't worth it. But I made up my mind. I'm not staying in this same state of mind. I'm not going to come home and feel anxious when I come home, because now I want to grow and my environment is squashing all of the desire and all of the excitement that I have. I had realized, kind of a side note, but this is part of the reason why I started really working on changing my environment, is I went on a trip, and I don't know if any of you guys can relate to this, but went on a trip. I don't remember where I went somewhere, a girls trip or something. And it was a great relaxing trip. I do know what it was. I was at a ladies' weekend, and we were all chatting about CBD and everything. And I had one of the most mentally relaxing, days right before I came home. We meditated all day. We did yoga. We did nothing all day but use our energy to to connect to our higher power and to connect to God, and to just really, really enjoy oxygen and plants and just life and the water. We were out by the lake. And I realized that when I was on my way home, in fact, I sent my husband a message, or I called him. And usually I would have kept this to myself in my past, but I wanted to grow, and it was something inside me said, you've got to tell him this so that maybe he can understand you. And I sent him a message, and I said, I don't know why, but I am extremely anxious right now because I'm coming home. And I don't know why, but I feel just almost overwhelmed that when I walk through those doors, that I'm not going to be able to find that sense of peace that I had when I was out, with the ladies for the weekend. And it wasn't, and I mean like true anxiety. I don't mean like, oh my God, I want to go home, like being funny or whatever. No, like I wanted to see my kids. I wanted to see my husband. My house made me feel anxious. So I went through and I started purging all of the different rooms, and I had standards that I set for myself. Just like he talks about, let me go back and read that quote. Just like he talked about when he was talking about the importance of cleaning up the environment, and where's it at? Rather than relying solely on your own internal resolve and strength, true commitment means you've built several external defense systems around your goals. That's how committed I was. I was no longer going to try to use willpower anymore, because I had already figured out on my own that willpower was not my friend. Now, I blamed myself for the fact that I didn't have enough willpower. I still thought that maybe somewhere inside of me I needed to be mentally stronger. So in my mind, I told myself, in order to try to achieve that next level of mental strength, I'm going to have to clean up this environment because it's obviously bothering me. So it kind of just is what it is, and I had to deal with it. So I put certain things in place. If there were things that I had not used in 6 months, they were gone. Stupid things I had held on to for no reason. Stacks of mail that were 6 months old. Guess what? You're going to send me another bill next month. Chunked you. They were gone. It was an emotional process for me to go through. Not really because I had emotional attachment to any of the things, but just the literal process of shedding all of these material things away because they were like a physical representation of my emotional and my mental state, what it had been for the last several years. So it was a very emotional thing. So if you get to working on this and you go to start changing your environment, be patient with yourself. It can get emotional. It can get super frustrating, but just stay true to the process, and when you're going through and you're doing this, what you're wanting to really focus on are what are the ways, what are the things that I can change, what are the things that I need to change to be able to make losing weight easier, whatever it is that you're trying to change, whatever it is that you are trying to manifest. Your goal when you're purging and when you are changing your environment and you are creating, that's exactly what I want you to look at it. I want you to look at it as you are creating the environment that welcomes you doing whatever it is that you're trying to do in your life. If it's lose weight, then you have to set up those parameters. Another thing that I was listening to today, Tony Robbins, he had said something about, if you're trying to do something and you feel like it's a chore, then it's probably not your passion. So if you are seeking to change your environment like I did in order to align yourself with things that really make your spirit just feel so fulfilled and to raise your vibrational level and to just feel positive energy and things like that. When you're trying to create that environment for growth personally and professionally and things like that, you have to be committed to what you're doing. And you have to understand that if you don't fully give yourself over to the process, then you will only slow yourself down as you go. And in fact, you'll actually sabotage yourself. And I am the number one offender of sabotage. I will tell you all day long, I'm one of the most hard-headed people you will ever come across in your life. Now, I thank God that I have matured over the past while and learned, like really sat down and tried to learn from my mistakes. Because like I said, I'm a hard-headed chick, and so I lived a lot of my life by just, I don't think I really felt my way through it. More I just went along with the flow, but yeah, I still didn't rock the boat too much. Had my opinions, but didn't really rock the boat too much, and that's almost a complete 180 from a lot of the things that I speak about now and talk about now. But, back to Mr. Robbins, when you are getting ready to change your environment and things like that, something specific that he says is you have to decide, you have to commit, and you have to resolve. You have to resolve that whatever it is that you're giving up, it's done. It has to be gone. So when you really, truly want to make a change, you have to allow yourself to emotionally connect to a place where with every fiber of your being, you can convince yourself that you can do this. Because that's where the key is to overcoming that hurdle and to jumpstart that momentum that you need in order to get your trajectory going and to, take off. So I think I've run over time with this segment, and I would say I'm excited about talking about the next one, but I'm really kind of not. But I am interested to see what you guys think about this. So when you come back, we're about to totally change the subject for the last little bit. We're going to talk about vibrational energy, and we're going to talk about holograms and the CIA and manifestation. Is it real? Is it not? We'll be back in a minute. Hey, you. Yeah, I'm talking to you. I know things are boring right now at this quarantine and so many things that we can't do, but there's one thing I know you can do. You can check out my show, Coming in Hot, where my guest and myself talk about mindset theories and real practical ways that you can improve your relationships, your lifestyle, health, and yourself. So we go live on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Then there's 2 encore presentations, Saturday nights at 7 p.m. and Sunday nights at 5 at astronetradio.com, so don't miss it. Okay, guys, welcome back. Third segment. I'm going to try to not get all up in my energy feelings, but I make no promises. This is what's been bugging me. 2 things, actually, for the past 18 or plus hours. So I'm not going to even worry about mentioning the second thing. We'll talk about that on another show. Because I want to focus the last little bit of time that I have left here with you guys about the CIA documents that resurfaced again. So they're not new documents. However, they're not talked about. We haven't scoured them, I don't guess, as a people and this and that, whatever you want to call it. Let me just read you a little bit of the headline. So, CIA Energy Hologram Explained. Twitter users claim law of attraction is real. Okay. Following a resurfaced document from the CIA, people on social media claim that the law of attraction is real. So here's the Energy Hologram Study explained. Theories are only concepts when there is not a scientific explanation to prove their credibility. In fact, there are a lot of bizarre theories out there, from the one that Donald Trump is a time traveler to coin shortage conspiracies. The internet is full of them. However, a CIA study suggests that the law of attraction is real after all. You don't say. Here's what the recent social media hype is all about. According to the CIA, the world that people live in is an energy hologram, simulation, and astral projection is real. In a document called Analysis and Assessment of Gateway Processes, under the section Holograms, the study says, energy creates, stores, and retrieves meaning in the universe by projecting or expanding at certain frequencies in a 3-dimensional mode that creates a living pattern called a hologram. It continues on. Holograms are capable of encoding so much detail that, for example, it is possible to take a holographic projection of a glass of swamp water and view it under magnification to see small organisms not visible to the naked eye when the glass of water itself is examined. The study is not something new. In fact, it's a document that dates back to June 9th of 1983. It says, if you fancy to read yourself, the CIA documents are on the official website, FYI. Go look them up. I have read bits of them. Literally, I'm going to pause. This literally overwhelmed me so much that this documentation that I was actually, that it surfaced and I was reading it, that I couldn't even finish reading the documents last night. I was just in complete awe. So, carrying on with this article. By the way, this article is from hitc.com. You can also watch the YouTube video down below that is called The Holographic Universe Explained. This is in their article. Now, I did look this Holographic Universe Explained video up on YouTube. Again, guys, it went completely over my head. I think I was so just mentally overwhelmed by all of this information that I couldn't even understand it. But I will be going back to watch it. So furthermore, for more information, like I said, check out the Holographic Universe Explained on YouTube. All right, so here's the rest of this article. Following the study, a number of people have claimed that the study has proved that the law of attraction is real. The law of attraction is a belief which states that people are able to attract abundance and success by thinking positive thoughts. There are a number of materials and books written on the topic. Some of the most famous books out there are The Secret by Rhonda Burns and The Law of Attraction by Esther Hicks and Jerry Hicks, which I actually own. After the theory went viral on Twitter, immediately got flooded with posts and comments from people around the world. Many have claimed that the CIA's findings are true and that the law of attraction finally has a scientific explanation. Others have said that they have been left baffled over the theory and that they need more answers. So, I cannot wait for you guys to blow me up about this. I literally cannot wait. I want to know what you think about it. I want you to read the documentation, watch the video, see if you can understand it, and all that good stuff. So this is something that's new for me to talk about on the show, but it was going to come up in this series, and it's vibrational energy. And guys, oh my goodness, my heart is pounding so much right now. I've mentioned watching the documentary on YouTube called The Secret before, and I urge you to please go watch it. Please go watch it, and watch it with an open mind. Not your judgy mind. Take your judgy glasses off for a minute. Take your glasses off that, your know-it-all glasses. How about those? Take the chip off your shoulder and take a look for a minute. And you might be a little astonished at the parallels that you can find between what is said in The Secret about vibrational energy and how the world operates. And so this information about us being beings of vibrational energy and this holographic world is just mind-blowing to me, because I believe in the law of attraction. In fact, I believe that I have actually manifested things. I believe that the Lord has divinely opened up doors for me to manifest things. I believe in this kind of stuff. So to have the CIA's documents put out that say, hey, you know what? We kind of did all this testing on. Look, I was looking at some of the diagrams and stuff that were there. They have diagrams and there is information about what parts of the brain light up and are triggered when someone is put under hypnosis. It's fascinating. Information about what parts of the brain are triggered and what comes on and what happens chemically inside the brain when you meditate. And so all of these people that I've been following for this past year, and I've really been trying to really grasp these concepts and understand these things, and I've come to practice them in my own life and seen them be real and be true. And then have the government go, it's not real. They're telling us it's not real, but the paperwork says it's real. Guys, I'm telling you, look this stuff up. I don't get into politics a lot. You're not going to hear me talking about politics on this show a lot. I don't prefer to talk about politics. I don't like it, to be honest with you, at all. But now, I am all about, though, if I think that something needs to be exposed, if there is something that I come across that I believe can help you move forward in your life or help you break down a barrier or something that I feel we've been misled by, I am absolutely going to put it out there, because it's what's helped me change my life, was people bringing this information to me. And so anyway, that right there just blew my mind. So watch The Secret. Get an idea of what the law of attraction is. Do some research into it. We're going to dive more into it as the show goes on. And we're going to get into all of the different laws. I picked up some books today. In fact, hold on just one second. Okay, so I picked up these today at Books A Million. In fact, they had the dual set for $10. It was cheap. But it is more of Napoleon Hill's. It is the law of successes. So I was having this conversation with my mom behind this whole CIA, these new documents being re-released or resurfacing or whatever. And this is stuff that, she's never heard a lot of these concepts before. And we had a very long, in-depth conversation about the idea that all of this information, that a lot of this information, the bulk of it, has kind of been like pushed down to the bottom underneath all of the things that the world deems important for us to know. And I am blown away and excited that these documents have surfaced, honestly, so that maybe a lot of you will be able to finally get the breakthroughs that you need, because you might actually have the right tools in order to achieve what you want to achieve. So, have not cracked these babies open yet. I had heard of these, so I was super excited to find them. I would add these to my list as well if you don't have this. The Law of Successes, also by Napoleon Hill. And I think we're about done for tonight. So you can Google and find that article. Just Google search CIA holographic documents, and you're going to find it. They're all over the place now. So, but anyway, so I think that's about it for this week. We're going to come back next week, and I'm hoping to have someone on with me to help further explain vibrational energy and all that kind of good jazz, so we can have some really, really fun, interesting conversation. And so anyway, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your evening, and I will see you next time on Coming In Hot.